Now, we're gonna move
You're going to move, Town of Westerlo cases.
the two remaining Town of Westerlo cases.
It's page 26.
Yes. Why don't we just do them? Yes, we need a motion.
We need a motion.
We need a motion to move the two wet locations, the boosted coding application and the
The
one for the local law. The next on the agenda.
I motion. Second.
I concur. Okay.
Okay, let me let those folks know where.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, we'll do them one at a time. Boosted
Yes.
codings first.
Yes.
I'm sorry, boosted coatings first?
Yes.
Okay. Town of Westerlo, we're gonna do the boosted coatings weeks first. The all of you, Mikey, some of you, feel free to come on in, we'll make room. We're gonna read what the case involves first, and then there'll be a chance to. Allow me to see it over here, here, wherever you can find it.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay. I love these. We need chairs like this.
Howdy.
How are you?
Good. All right. We're gonna read the case. We're gonna read the staff opinion and we'll give you guys a chance to. Okay, project name, boosted coding, applicant, Shepherd Farm LLC, project location 6844 State Route 32, municipality, Town of Westerlo, referring agency, Town of Westerlo Planning Board. Considerations, special use permit to allow powder coating facility in the rural development / agricultural RD/A zone. Okay, and I'm going to read the staff notes. Applicant seeks a special use permit for the commercial use powder coating facility in a rural development agricultural RD/A zone, which includes the cleaning of metal parts, the application of powder coat with a specialty spraying gun that electrostatically charges the powder to be able to stick to the metal. The parts then go into an electric batch oven for further processing. All powder coat is then applied. All powder coat that is applied is non-flammable and non-toxic as per the project narrative. As per zoning article 8, section 8.40, parenthesis 3, parenthesis C, commercial use should be located in pre-existing buildings in the Old Shepherd Resort complex. The building is being rehabbed to accommodate this use. Less than 1 acre is to be disturbed during this action as per the short environmental assessment form. Okay, staff opinion. Modified local opinion to include town should strongly discourage the proposed powder coating facility that is industrial in nature and as it is incompatible with the adjacent properties in the rural development agricultural zoning district. The applicant should consider the relocation of the proposed use to a more suitable zoning district in the town, such as the light industrial zoning district. That was staff opinion with note 1. Note 2. Note 2 is the Albany County Planning Board strongly discourages the proposed use considering its impact on the existing land uses and to protect the community character as per the general municipal law, section 239-L. Okay, go to note 3. The town should consider the precedent-setting nature of approving special use permits that allow significant changes in the rural development agricultural zoning district. Note 4. Review by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation to determine the potential contamination of toxic materials into the ground and water due to the proposed usage of powder coat and cleaning of the materials in the facility. Okay. Now, if you guys would take a minute, introduce yourselves.
Sure.
And give us a brief, while you're here.
My name is George McHugh. I'm the town attorney for the town of Westerlo. And I'm here on this application as well as the local one.
Okay.
I'm Councilwoman Peklak, Lorraine Peklak, and I'm here for both as well.
Okay.
Matt Kryzak, Town Supervisor, here for both applications as well. And specifically on this application here to make sure that the process is followed so that the town is not subject to an Article 78 or any other issue like that, and make sure the process is followed appropriately.
Okay.
Laura Tenney, citizen of Westerlo.
Maureen Secoli, citizen of Westerlo.
Lisa DeGroff, confidential secretary, the supervisor, and citizen of Westerlo.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak?
Sure. Yeah, now we'll have time for a brief comment.
Okay. I was at this meeting in May 14th. First of all, I should probably tell you, the planning board has already approved this application for a special use permit prior to your meeting tonight, with a condition that you approve it, which is against my advice. But a lot of things were against my advice on this. First of all, powder coating, in my opinion, should be looked at as an industrial use rather than a commercial. And if so, then it would require a variance at the very least. I also advised the board at the night of the meeting when they first heard this on May 14th was to retain our engineer, our town engineer, David Ingalls. He got on the phone, said there should be an escrow put in place and I should review this application. The board voted to disregard that advice. The application wasn't complete. They never filled out a long form EAF. They then tried to do it that night in the town clerk's office. Here it is. As you can see, the first, when you have this, Topeka, but the first, they didn't start filling it out until page 11 of 13. Nothing else was filled out. And that was done the night of at 7:30 p.m., a half hour into the meeting. They've already had the public hearing this past week. They approved it on condition that you're going to approve it. They did not do a secret analysis whatsoever. I have the minutes from the meeting of May, no secret done. The building department, building inspector reminded them on June's meeting, you still have to do seeker, and they disregarded his advice as well and never did a seeker. So there's been no seeker analysis done on this. There's been no coordinated review to speak of, except an email to DEC. And the DEC said you need a consulting engineer on this, and likewise a town engineer to review the consulting engineer's work. That was disregarded as well. We're here to protect the town. One of the things I teach when I teach this class is that we need defendable decisions. Doesn't mean we have to agree with them, but it does mean there's a process that has to be followed. And this process was flawed from step one.
Right off the get-go.
And so I'm here to make sure that we get, well, hopefully they don't get, they're certainly not going to get the condition that they need, which is that you're going to recommend approving this. And then hopefully we can bring this application back to our planning board, which will hopefully be the zoning board by then, and they can go through the correct process with this application and do it right.
We all hear the same thing?
Yes.
Yep, for the same thing. And just to reiterate what George was saying, my concern mainly was at the environmental portion of it. So there's obviously an acid bath portion to a powder coating that nobody talked about in this application. The equipment needs to be cleaned. It's either an acid bath or some form of chemical means the product is soaked. So I would like to know why none of that was talked about, and really would like them to look into this industrial use in that location.
Okay. Anybody else?
I just like to, I don't know the details of this particular case. I know that there was discussion at the last town board meeting about this case, and there was disagreement about the process. I think it would be helpful to speak to one of the planning board members from Westerlo to know why they felt that they were following the process.
Yeah.
Because they did feel that they had gotten,
Right.
that they had sought some other legal advice, and they felt that they were following the process And it was my understanding at the town board meeting was that it was a conditional approval pending your guys' approval. And if that didn't happen, then it wasn't.
Well, I know that I've spoken to Topeka about this. I thought we were going to disapprove it right from the get-go. All right, because for exactly the conditions we're talking about, you've got to clean this metal, and what happens to all those fluids and whatever gets used? And would you want this next to your,
There's wetlands all over.
well, there is, and it all drains to Greene County. Everything there runs downhill.
Right.
And the border isn't that far. So I was thinking that we should change this to a disapprove. That's my recommendation to you guys. Yeah, she's got it as modified, but her, Topeka, and both discussed disapproving.
I just want to add one more thing, that for a project that is industrial in nature, the details, the materials that were submitted was extremely light. We did not get all there was a project narrative, but it wasn't complete, and you could say that it's very light and didn't include all the details. There wasn't a SEQR review, there wasn't properly filled out environmental assessment form as well. So I just want to say the materials that were submitted to us was very light in detail.
I know, and note number 4, the one about the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, I had Topeka add that today, because I've been concerned about the thing right from the start. So.
I was concerned with the air, because they have to have fans to
Sure.
vent that out. Where's that gonna go?
Where is that? Well, that's,
Just right down.
But
the
that would
road
all
from
be
me.
part of a secret analysis or
Yeah.
or a review by our engineers. And
Yeah, that's
none of that, all that was waived.
Yeah.
Which is
All of that was waived by the
waived by
planning.
a vote, by the planning board. They waived and they disregarded, by vote, they disregarded all of my votes.
Jeff has made a motion to disapprove.
Okay,
Sorry, go ahead.
This is, after all that, this is kind of small potatoes, but it is a change of use. And it's a state highway, so DOT should be allowed to, given a chance to review access. To see whether it's recorded.
Yes.
Which will be done in a coordinated review.
That's
If we
right.
Did one,
Yeah,
but we didn't do one.
you're right. You're right, Jeff.
so no 5 would
No,
be
no 5 would be sent to NISDOT,
reviewed.
our standard note to, but
So review by DOT.
DOT.
And we don't have anybody on the call from the planning board or anything. I just want to make sure. It's our hand raised, so. Is there not?
would you second his? Yep. I concur
Disapprove with the comments with the
with the 5 no.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll move to your. What page are we on now? This morning?
28.
28. Okay, our next case. Project 8, local law 3 of 2024. Applicant's name, Town of Westerlo. Location, Town of Westerlo. Referring agency, Town of Westerlo Legislative Board. So this is coming from the Town Board.
Yes.
Considerations, local law to abolish the planning board and transition its functions to the zoning board of appeals, which is to be known as the planning board / zoning board of appeals. Staff opinion. Modified local approval to include, as per the New York State enabling law, subdivision reviews become the jurisdiction of the town board when the zoning board of appeals and planning board is consolidated. Note number 2, notification of the proposed local law should be sent to all adjacent municipalities pursuant to GML 239-NN. We also have one advisory note. As advised by New York State Department of State, consolidation of zoning board of appeals and planning board is not the best practice as does not allow for the appropriate separation of power between zoning and land use administration. And we have note number 2. Albany County Planning Board advises the town to increase the board capacity from 5 to 7 members to maintain efficiency, since the precedent has already been set by the Town of Coeymans and the village of Ravena. Okay. We've read the case. We'll go back with players here. Our visitors in the room and Mr. McHugh.
So I'm a practicing attorney from Coeymans, Ravena. And I was the town supervisor for 6 years in the town of Coeymans when we passed the local law to consolidate. The idea for Westerlo to do something similar was actually not from this supervisor, but from the prior supervisor, Bill Bichteman, who contacted me when we did it in Coeymans and was going to do it. Then he resigned. Matt Kryzak took it up last year. I think it was October. He asked me about it again, and we've been working on it until now. The thing in Westerlo, and much like Coeymans and it's even smaller than Coeymans, it's half of our population. These small towns like this could never work in Colony or Bethlehem. They're too big. They have too much activity. Having 2 boards in a hill town like this, one board, in my opinion, too many. They don't have enough applications to feed each board. And you don't have the population and pool to choose from to get the right talent on these boards. So in this case, it makes sense. But again, in a busier town, it wouldn't make sense. And I would totally agree with that. I would never promote something like that. But in Westerlo, as in Ravena, as in Coeymans, it works well. As an attorney who's practiced before these boards for applicants in my private capacity, they are the best boards to go in front of. They're more efficient. They seem to be more on top of things, and they know the entire process, not just, zoning boards know variances, use, and area. That's it. Planning boards hopefully know site plans, subdivisions, special use permits. That's it. But when you have the same 5 or 7 people that know the whole process, why the planning board is sending it to the zoning board for the variance, then it comes back for the site plan review. When you have the same people doing both jobs, and especially in a small town, it flows much easier, much better, much smoother process. Again, in this application, it works, small towns, but not in a large one.
So basically, I'm looking to streamline for the same reasons that George has just spoke about. Mainly already this year, there was 2 months that the planning board didn't need to meet. There was no business before them. So the thought was to try to increase the efficiency, not only for, if there's no need to meet on the planning, well, there might be still something in their zoning, we can still continue to do business or training or something of that nature. And also a lot of the things that come before our planning board are simple, subdivisions, things of that nature. And sometimes there's a variance needed. I've had several complaints from the residents, just how long it takes, 4 months or so to get something subdivided, just a piece of property to a family member or something of that nature. So the thought was twofold, basically streamline the process. I agree with going to the 7 members instead of 5, because that allows us to take our 5 ZBA, pull 2 experienced members from the planning board, put them into that, and then have 2 more technical, maybe one more alternate also from that same planning board. So it's not like we're going to lose anybody who's experienced, but also to the fact that it's very hard to find applicants for these positions who are qualified. So that's the goal. The goal basically here is to try to streamline and make it easier on the town to find the applicants and also keep all the talent in one location.
Any comments, lady?
Yeah. Okay. There was a public hearing on this local law last week, and there were a lot of people there. The room was filled, and nobody was in favor of this law. There was not a feeling that there was trouble getting the applicants. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I remember one of the comments was in the last 5 years, there were only 3 applications that had to go before the zoning board and the planning board. So there's not a lot of overlap. So I guess that's, that's where it stands. I don't see the residents in favor of it. You're losing your checks and balances for something that's not popular in the town.
Okay.
I was also at the public hearing on Tuesday, and I've never seen that many people come out for any kind of town meeting before. There was, as Maureen said, there was a strong feeling among the citizens of Westerlo that they are not in favor of consolidation. The reasons given by the town board at that point were a little different than I'm hearing now. The reasons given on Tuesday night had to do with financial savings, which were questioned by the townspeople, especially as our town reportedly is in strong financial health. There didn't seem to be any real need to save a few dollars, and how much would actually be saved if you're increasing the number of board members and the zoning board by 2. I don't know if you guys know, but our town board, our planning board and our zoning board members do get paid in Westerlo. Not a lot, but there is some money there. So it was given as it was a money saving move, which I don't hear today. So that's a little questionable. And it was also felt by people in the town that the desire to consolidate or to get rid of the planning board is being done as a retribution, a political move to essentially get back at the planning board, specific planning board members who did not follow the proper procedure, or not even that, but who did not follow the recommendation that was given by the town attorney, that this was being done for political moves, not for betterment of the town. And the third thing that really struck me that people said is that the town board is elected to represent its citizens. And if it asks if it holds a public hearing and there's such a strong sense that the town is against this move, then the town board is not representing its citizens. It's doing what it wants to do for questionable reasons.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So I can tell you that as the confidential secretary to the supervisor, I have answered phone calls and directed them appropriately for people who were concerned about, when am I going to hear on this? How long does this normally take? Seems like it's been a while. Secondly, not everyone in the room at the public hearing was against it. There were people that did not speak because of fear of retaliation or being outcasted. I know a number of people who were not, who were in favor of it. So there was less than 60 people in the room, not counting board members or staff that were there. That represents less than 2% of our population. So to say that the townspeople don't agree, I think is not a fair assessment. Furthermore, I firmly believe that the nature of the turnout at the meeting had a lot to do with some very deceptive advertising practices. There was a sandwich board outside Town Hall that said, public hearing 618, abolish the planning board. And then in an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, it was taped to the bottom of it. So all the cars going by on this major county road, all they're going to see is abolish the planning board. They're not going to pull over to the side of the road and read the whole thing. So, there's some deceptive practices, in terms of that advertising. Not, if the notice was there, I will agree the notice was there, but it wasn't a fair notice. Mm-hmm. So.
Mr. Chairman, can I make one more direct? Mm-hmm. Just the checks and balances issue. the zoning board is not a check or balance to the planning board in the town, nor is the planning board a check or balance to the zoning board in the town. The check and balance to both is you, number one. Number two is Article 78 or Supreme Court petition. Those are the checks and balances. So whether you have a joint board or you have two boards, neither one is a check and balance to the other board. You're a check and a balance, you review, you provide recommendations, which have to have a supermajority to be overturned.
Mm-hmm.
Or if someone's really upset with a decision either board makes, they go to an Article 78, the Supreme Court. But there is no, I don't like the planning board's decision, so I'm gonna go to the zoning board. There's no review for that. So that's not accurate. And having only one board does not take away any checks or balances that you already have. That's all.
Okay.
Another brief comment, the zoning board chairman commented on their lack of comfortability with becoming the planning board also, because it's added responsibility.
Mhm. Okay. Well, you guys certainly have a contentious issue in front of you in your town. Again, we've been through this with the village of Ravena and the town of Coeymans, and we have really no jurisdiction to say no. I mean, it can be done. Now, we've told you on our notes, we don't think it's a great decision. Personally, I'm not sure I think it's a great decision. Every time you have an extra board, you're giving citizens an extra chance to comment. But if you choose to go down that path, that is certainly, or if the town board votes it or whatever, that's for you guys to decide in your town. So, Jeff, do you have any comment? No. Lisa?
The only comment I have is just, I mean, we go to staff burnout or, board burnout.
Mhm.
When and I hear all the reasons, so I'm not discrediting the reasons, I'm not there, but, sometimes when you consolidate groups or boards, you think that it's more efficient, and then in the end, it turns out that it's actually more work for the people, and then people start quitting, so to speak. So, I mean, that's just my only thing, and that's one of the things when I heard it, that I just thought about.
All right. Well, can I get a motion to accept staff opinion? Motion.
Second.
I concur.
Is your staff opinion, is that a public document?
Yes, you get it gets sent to the town.
How does a normal citizen get a copy?
FOIL it.
You can either request for FOIL. So usually what happens is after a board meeting, a recommendation letter will be sent to the town, specifically to whoever submitted the application. One will be sent electronically and also a physical copy will be sent. So usually what we require the town to do is to record the local action, whether it was approved, what was the vote record, and send it back to us for our records. So you can always FOIL request, and I'll get those requests. So.
The other thing is the decisions that was made will be reflected in the meeting minutes as well.
Right.
We have 2 weeks to get a draft copy of that together. So in 2 weeks.
Yeah, do you guys post those?
Yes, we have a little trouble with IT getting those, but regardless.
Right.
If you were to call me tomorrow, I would say within 2 weeks, I will have a draft copy ready for you. Sometimes I have it sooner, but it just depends. But regardless, within 2 weeks, we should have a draft available for review, and that would list all of the people's recommendations, exactly what she sent to town.
So those notes that you were talking about would be
Yes.
They'd all be on.
recommend it, but
Yes.
it's their right to do it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't recommend it, but they have the ability to do it. It's been done in other towns. They can do it.
It isn't allowed practice, but it's just not encouraged.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Okay. Try not to be conservative.
No problem.
Thanks for your service.
Take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you. We have to move on to the- Yes.